At that point, it was a very new disease to me. I never heard of it. And, you know, it was this disease with a very long name, and it seemed to be happening to gay men.
That disease is AIDS, short for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. Brian is a gay man who found out 3 years ago that he has AIDS.
I cry an awful lot. Every time I think of my mother or my lover or my cat or my friends that are dropping like flies around me.
Since 1981, more than 4,000 people in the USA have died from AIDS. The outbreak of this epidemic has spurred research at many medical centers in Boston, including Massachusetts General Hospital. Dr. Robert Schooley is an AIDS researcher at MGH.
So the acquired immune deficiency syndrome is just a way of identifying patients who have lost their ability to fight infections.
Okay. What type of people do you find at most risk to have this syndrome?
It depends very much on where in the world you're asking the question. In the U.S., about 70 to 75% of patients are homosexual or bisexual men. About 15% are intravenous drug abusers. 3 to 5% are people of Haitian origin. About 1% are patients who have received factor VIII for hemophilia, and about 1% are transfusion recipients, leaving only about 3% in the general population that can't be explained on the basis of the risk factors that we know about.
AIDS is considered a new disease. Research is revealing new information about the virus called HTLV3, which causes AIDS. So far, it's known that the virus is not spread through casual contact. Primarily, exposure occurs through intimate sex. Infrequently, the virus is transmitted through blood transfusions and the use of dirty needles by drug abusers. Dr. Schooley emphasizes that the majority of those exposed to the virus do not develop the disease.
In a study we're currently doing in Boston, about 50% of our healthy homosexual men who are service controls already have the virus. The vast majority of those are healthy and remain healthy in this prospective study we're doing over an extended period of time.
Currently, there are 218 diagnosed cases of AIDS in the Boston area.
It's an area where there has been an increasing number of patients with AIDS, but the system isn't yet overwhelmed like it is, I think, in some areas of New York City and in San Francisco. So the patients get better attention and don't get lost in the shuffle. It also has a very active support group, the AIDS Action Committee, which provides a lot of support and help for AIDS patients.
AIDS Action Line, may I help you?
This hotline is run by volunteers of the AAC, located here at the Fenway Community Health Center. The AIDS Action Committee provides information and runs support groups for those with AIDS and their lovers, friends, and families. They also have a food bank for people with AIDS. For Brian and his lover, Rob, the AIDS Action Committee has been a major source of support.
Ever since I have moved here, I've had a great deal of support from the AIDS Action Committee and gay friends in general.
A campaign is underway to educate the gay community on safe sex. Larry Kessler directs the AIDS Action Committee.
Can you tell us what you mean by safe sex?
Safe sex techniques which guard against the exchange of fluids is probably going to become a way of life for everybody in the world. Mm-hmm. Cut down on the number of partners, because that's a statistical factor. If you cut down on the number of partners, you cut down on your risk.
While Kessler and others work on the social and community problems of AIDS, researchers like Dr. Schooley continue to push for further scientific answers in the AIDS puzzle.
We know now that there are antibodies in blood of people who have been infected with the virus that will prevent the virus from infecting other cells, neutralizing antibodies, which at least raises the theoretical possibility of making a vaccine. Progress is being made in the laboratory, at least, with developing drugs that are effective against the virus in the laboratory and are beginning to be taken to the bedside to treat patients.
Researchers here at Massachusetts General Hospital are actively searching for a cure or vaccine for the deadly AIDS virus. The answer may be years in sight. In the meantime, the struggle goes on. This is Dr. Robert Norman reporting for Neighborhood Network News.
Get started. still no form of AIDS? Never started?
I can find it.
Brian and Rob are lovers. Brian has AIDS. They met in New York, moved to Springfield, and then came to Boston.
When Brian was diagnosed, it meant taking the dreams and shelving them. This was not grounds for separation. If anything, it was more a cause to remain together, to be strong with each other.
Rob's support for Brian has taken its toll. The toll taken when a deadly disease comes into life. AIDS has changed the way gays are seen by the community at large. Brian and Rob try to enjoy their moments together, confronting AIDS every step along the way.
I think of mortality much more differently now, and think of life much more differently now, because even if I were to survive AIDS and go into remission with AIDS, I would be very much in tune with the fact that I am a mortal being now, whereas before I was not in tune with that. And I didn't know that I was not in tune with it. I thought that I was. And now, life is precious to me. There are a lot of things that are perfectly normal that take on a greater significance to me because I am in touch with the fact that we are here for a brief visit. And it makes me very much more appreciative of hearing that bird sing outside right now.
Every fiber of my being was focused on AIDS. And so was yours. That's all we could see. That's all we could see at all. Except when we drank a little bit. Then we'd go for a walk in the cemetery. I mean, oh joy. Oh, it would be fun. Be out in the air, the grass, looking at the tombstones. We did, that was one of either that or go to a movie. And everything else was read about AIDS, talk about AIDS, have some friends over and play some cards, and then the conversation would come back around to, well, what has it been like today, Brian?
You can say that alcoholics like to, or want to kill themselves. Those who take drugs don't want to live and want to annihilate their ego and so on and so forth. I don't believe that. I took drugs for pleasure, and I drank for pleasure and socializing, and I accepted that socializing within a context of life, that this was the fun part of life and that I wanted to live, and I had already dealt with suicide and rejected that as a possibility, and I thought I was just enjoying life. And I was.
The moral issues of AIDS are often not recognized. In comparison to other terminal diseases, AIDS is often viewed with many misleading ideas and emotions.
And I really believe that, like herpes, the disease of AIDS is going to filter out into the younger, straight, college-set type community, and within a year or so we're going to be really standing back with our mouths open saying, my God, this is real. This isn't happening to faggots. This is happening to people. It's not guilt over my sexuality, I don't think. It's just guilt over having made a mistake in life. A fatal mistake.
This is Dr. Robert Norman reporting for Neighborhood Network News.